So after counting the models I painted last year and making a video about it, I decided to make another about my plans for this year. I got the idea from the Kieran Show on YouTube, where they discussed making plans around knowing how many hobby hours you have and how many it takes you to paint your minis. So from that video I made, I know I painted 130 infantry models in 2025 and 11 larger models, vehicles and monsters. I don't know how many hours I actually spent, but it's safe to assume I can manage that many again. But I will also track how many hours I spend painting this year, so I have a better idea for the future. I had a plan to paint an undead Bretonnian army for the old world for quite a while, and it makes up the majority of my pile of shame. I've been collecting kits here and there for over 2 years, but I haven't made any real progress, having only painted 5 test models, and I think that was about 2 years ago at this point. So I counted up all the models that I have for this army, and it came to 209 models, which I immediately realised is over a year's worth of planning. This is a bit of a kick up the arse that I needed to get started on this project. So I'm planning to use these models as 2 different armies in the old world, to use them as Bretonnians and vampires, which means reusing some units as a corresponding unit in the other army, which takes some planning to make sure they've all got the right base sizes and to know what I'm using as well. So I made a spreadsheet. So as you can see here, I've taken the list of models that I have or intend to have in the red here, and then given them a potential use for both armies, and then the base size needed. So you can see there's some, like the bats, which I thought maybe I could use as some extra Pegasus Knights if I wanted, which aren't quite right, so I may need to do some weird conversion base, or maybe just not use them. But on the whole, they work fairly well because of kind of the default sizes that cavalry are on and infantry are and all that kind of stuff. So the plan for this year, looking at having made this list, is to make a force that I can actually play with. So either 500 points, which is getting more popular, or at a higher points level eventually. But I want the core done that I can just add units to and do a bit of a slow grow. So that is we're going to make a Necromancer, a White King, some Death Guards, it's not Death Guards, some Grave Guards, some Blood Knights as well, no, Black Knights, and then obviously lots of zombies, some wolves and some bats, and some banshees as well. So given, firstly I'll go to what models I've got. So the majority of the models I've got come from 3 different big boxes. First is Curse City. You get some of these models in use for Graveyard, and some characters and some weird units as well, which is good. And then I've got the Bretonnian starter box, which where I'm going to be doing a lot of converting into making lots of undead Bretonnians. And then I've got the Mongolian Court box, which I've got to add a bit more to my Death Guard and some of these extra units as well as this big model. So, seeing as I've been planning this for quite a while, I've been collecting pictures of models and conversions I like, as well as painting ideas. So, in terms of models, here is the Necromancer I'm going to use, and it cuts off the animals. I'm not a big fan of them for him as my Necromancer. I may end up using the Necromancer on the corpse cart as well. I might swap him out because I quite like that guy. We'll see. I'll start with this guy anyway. And then my White King, who I absolutely love, he's perfect. I may need to trim down some of his robes so he can actually rank up properly, but awesome model, love him. The Black Knights, gonna do some kit bashing to make them look undead, and some of that is just in the painting as well. But as you can see here in these examples, we're adding in some undead bits and some skeleton bits just to kind of sell you on the fact that they are in fact undead. So I bought these undead horsemen from the Tomb Kings for the extra bits. Here's a potential kit bash I'm planning on doing with the weird centaur thing, which is a cool model, but it doesn't fit Old World. It's not going to work for me. So I realised that I wanted a zombie dragon, and zombie dragon comes with a spearhead because you can build it as the Terrorgeist. So I wanted to put the spearhead on this, so I was researching, trying to find any examples of someone else doing this to see if the scale works, and it does. I found Rob Hawkins' hobby blog. He's got some great armies, love it, really cool, and it's a great kit bash. I think I'll probably do without the armour, but the scale works, big fan of that. From a graveyard, using these skeletons that you got in Curse City and the West Range. I think they work great, quite heavily armoured, give them great poses. Maybe a little issue ranking up, but so far I've managed to do it. It's just one of those ones where you have to kind of make sure they're in the right order. For my zombies, I want to do kind of some kit bashes as well, because I want a mixed force, so you're really including all of the armies that you've defeated, and I quite like the idea of doing that. Maybe I'll start buying some extra kits to paint some of the people I play regularly, some of their forces undead after I've beaten them. So yeah, some quite cool skeletons here of different races, and these are some fantastic kit bashes. I'm taking a lot of inspiration from these, and the paint job does a lot of it as well, where you don't need to kit bash too much as long as you can get that looking nice and undead. With the skin tone. Not that guy. Alright. Yeah, and see some of these as well. But these are based off the skeletons, which I don't have, and I'm not going to buy either, but same kind of idea. I may end up buying more of these kind of zombies to get some villagers and a bit of a variety, but I think I've got about 80 at the moment, so I should be okay. Yeah, here's some example of some undead Empire guys. So this is the kind of thing I could do, because I've got some spear Empire guys to add in once I've defeated someone in an Empire army. And then some unit fillers you can do with spear pieces, which I might do with some of the Curse City zombies, because I don't like the graves on their backs. I'm cutting those off. Then you've got a lot of zombies kind of stooped over in half. Which I'm not the biggest fan of, so I might cut them in half and put them on bases if they're coming out of the ground, which I think works well for when you're using your spells to summon more zombies from the earth. For my ethereal, for my spirit hosts, I've bought these models second hand, so there's a bit of work converting them and fixing them, and I'm not the biggest fan of these sculpted bases, so I may make some adjustments to those, but I think they're quite cool. I think they work well. And then I'll be using this one as my banshee, which you need to take to unlock the spirit hosts. And then some of the faster stuff in the army, some of the bats and the wolves as well. Which, yeah, very cool. So in terms of paint jobs, I want to do quite dark paint scheme. And realistically, it's got to be quite easy to do for 80 zombies. So, with my test models, I did a bit of basically slap chopping, and then dirty, streak and grime, and then removing it to get some of the highlights. And it looks quite good, and it's quite quick, and it's not too. It doesn't look too low effort either when you take the time to do it. Yeah, and like the bats like this look fantastic with the veins. I'll try and do that. I don't think I'm good enough, but we'll give it a go. Yeah, I'm doing red cloaks on my Graveguard, so it's quite a cool example. But mine, I want to look a bit dirtier, but I like the contrast here of the red and the very dark in the shadows. this is from 28 Mag, and I love the green, the mould and the moss. I think that'll work well on some of the skeletons. So yeah, I've got the I think it's the Dan moss, so give that a go. Yeah, the spirit hosts you want to look nice and bright and really kind of stand out from all of the undead, because they're ethereal. In just some examples of the type of weathering and rustiness and dark dirtiness of the Graveguard that I hope to achieve. And then, given that when you have a vampire army, you've almost got two halves. You've got the Necromancer and his minions, and then you've got the vampire with his thralls. And I think I like the idea of doing some lore for my army, where the vampire and the necromancer might not get on entirely, and they do have their different forces. So I want to do different colours potentially for my Blood Knights, especially since the necromancer is raising, the enemies, the Bretonnians they've been killing, so they're not going to be the same colour and the same paint scheme as the vampires. So obviously I still want it to look good as an army and still look kind of cohesive, so I try and figure out what colour to do. I quite like the blue, so I might do that, we'll see. In terms of basing, I want them to look like they're coming down from the mountains. Like some of the inspiration is the Gotrek and Felix books, when they're traipsing through the mountains. I quite like that. And we've got the barrows around this. Really cool terrain piece. So might have to do do an army board or something, some barrows. I think that'd be cool. So these bases have been done with dirty down moss, which I think look quite good. I think contrasts well with the red. I think it's quite cool. That's just an idea there. And I got some pictures to try and help me think about what the mountains would look like and how to do the bases. Because I quite like the scree, there are lots of rocks. So these are from North Wales in Snowdonia, as well as the Lake District. So you can imagine a horde of undead traipsing down through here. It'd be quite the sight. So, other than my undead army plans, I also want to enter some painting competitions. So the first is the Squidmar competition, which I've already opened because I think the deadline is in about 10 hours anyway, so as I'm recording this. So I entered my Stormcast Eternal diorama, where they're being reforged off the sprue, so there's some sort of magic making them. I'll do a video about this, but I'm very pleased with it. I really like the idea, and I've delivered on it to a standard I'm happy with. It's not perfect. Like you can see here, the clay, very clearly there's texture on it, but the gloss varnish on the blue looks really good. The lightning could be better if it was sharper angles, and the paint job of course could be better, but something I'm working on. I like the composition and how the lightning looks almost like wings with them flying, and this bit here is probably my favourite of the paint, as it kind of it's travelling down plastic as it's coming alive. Just some close-ups. Yeah, but I'm pleased with it. So that's our first diorama, and I had the idea, and I don't know if I would have actually gone about making it if I hadn't decided to enter this competition. So I think it was a useful tool almost to get that motivation by entering the competition, which is why I intend to enter a couple more. So the first to be Olden Demon, because be a different type of paint style to what I've done in the past and to what I'm doing with my army, so keep it fresh. I quite enjoy his YouTube channel as well, it's fun, so that'll be fun to do. And then Rotspot, because it goes well with what I'm doing with my army, and it'll be motivation to really push it to take this style and do it to the highest standards I can. And maybe for one of the characters, like my Necromancer or something, maybe is what I do for that. and then I may enter the mini painting open online at the end of the year if I want to continue doing that. The other thing that I want to do is try and complete as many of the squares of the hobby bingo that I found, just to push me to do some different things and keep some interest rather than. So I am aware of if I've got one big project, I may lose interest if I'm doing the same thing over and over again, especially doing 80 zombies, 30 graveguard. There's a lot of churn of doing the same stuff. So this will hopefully keep it interesting. And this is from the Rob Hawkins hobby blog again. Which is fantastic. I really recommend having a look. Which actually I have put some sources here, which is it's not a good format for working out what's what, but at least wanted to have, if anyone's really keen to see where pictures of all these minis are from, there's some links there. Yeah, so lots of plans. Will I deliver on all of them? Definitely not, but hopefully I'll make progress on this army and be able to get some games in this year and get rid of some of that that pile of shame that's been growing for a few years. So yeah, cheers.